Okay, so I'm Ansha Tokudas. I'm the Group Human Resources Manager for Sun Resorts.
Okay.
So,
Which services and functions do you feel could be offshored and which ones could not be?
okay, so I would believe finance could be offshored. The reservation function, pricing is already the case. I would say HR. Some functions can be offshored when it comes to setting the HR strategic functions, but there is a local aspect to HR that has to be done onshore because of the requirements of the law. That's quite particular to those countries and territories. So I think HR would be we have to identify which sub functions within HR can be offshored and others not. But the main one would be finance, reservation, and pricing. Pricing is being offshored already.
Thank you very much. Would you train the local staff to the company standards?
Yes, completely. I think more than the company's standard, there is also the culture, the organizational culture, because currently we are quite far removed, between the local staff and the staff at the headquarters. I think there's a requirement to transfer some of the organizational values down to the local staff, and of course the company standards.
Would the same number of staff be employed?
No, that would defy the whole purpose of offshoring. Then you would actually leverage from your existing staff and create more economies of scale.
Okay. Would payroll costs be the only advantage to offshoring to Mauritius?
No, not at all. That's why, back to the previous answer that I gave, I think there's definitely a need to identify, pockets of inefficiencies and turn this around. So I think efficiency would be another advantage. There would be economies of scale, so working on the knowledge that sits here and leveraging from that knowledge and move up that, that value chain. And of course, I think by doing these things, you would have cost benefits.
What would be the tax and social security benefits that Solaire could obtain by relocating most of its activities to Mauritius? Would the local Mauritian economy be beneficial for the company, for example, with taxes, governmental help, etc.?
Yes, definitely. See, if you offshore the company in Mauritius, the first fiscal advantage would be a tax reduction. Mauritian corporate tax is at 15%, as opposed to the French tax rate, I believe, sits at must be north of 35%. So I think there's an immediate benefit just on benefiting from a different jurisdiction of fiscal regime. So that would be a clear advantage. Would the local Mauritian economy be beneficial? Of course, if you are withdrawing, you're getting tax from a company that's incorporated here by far. But I think the biggest benefit would be for Sun Resorts as a whole.
Would you have an idea of the redundancy costs for the French staff that would lose their jobs in the offshoring process?
I don't have the costs. I cannot give you numbers, but for sure, knowing the social regime in France, the redundancy cost would be much higher than in Mauritius. But again, I think one can build a case around. I mean, honestly, I cannot give you a very direct answer, but I think one needs to work with our lawyers. We need to build a proper case. We can't just, tackle it like headless chicken. We've got to plan it properly.
Would you consider any of the current French employees in Solaire Vacances to be relocated to Mauritius for ethical and social reasons?
I would like to say that the first criteria should be on merit. I think if there are employees, we need to assess if there are employees who've got very distinct and good competencies that we don't have, in Mauritius. why not? We should, make them an offer and consider them. And then for ethical and social reasons, well, I think if that would, help us build a case of redundancy, then it makes sense. But I don't think that should be the main criteria to relocate people.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Are we done?